Welcome to your favorite, by now it should be, podcast in the history of podcasts. Welcome to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Anyways, folks, welcome. My name is Larry Lawrence. The name's so nice, they named me twice. We're live in the Ring of Life right here for you because we are bringing you a fan perspective of the world of professional wrestling. Yes, I grew up watching wrestling. From the age of 7, 8, I learned that professional wrestling is not just a show. It's a extravaganza. It's a showcase of the immortals. And I learned that I had 2.4-inch pythons when I was on stage doing stand-up comedy. What you gonna do when the 2.4-inch pythons run wild on you? Those were the exact words that Chris Tucker would say. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Yes, these are actual facts from a entertainer who's worked in Hollywood with the best. And he's also been one of the rest and very forgotten. And I'm humble to say I'm 2 years plus sober. I have an attitude of gratitude. I'm here to inform anyone out there going through struggle, going through problems, going through inner demons. Don't let the beast out. Contain the beast. And this is the way. That is the Mandalorian, by the way. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. You'll learn this about me. My business partner knows more about Star Wars than I do, but we can still be friends. Anyways, the whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes, there is. This show was meant for everyone, young, old, middle-aged, whatever race, whatever face, whatever sex you are, male, female, or whatever. That's my other podcast. You can find that on Facebook. Anyways, whatever. The whole point is this. We have a show here called Larry's New Wrestling Podcast and Stuff. Now, the stuff includes COVID-57, 19, hut, hike. It includes basically anything that's subject related around the world. I typically stick to sports and entertainment because those are happier places during a lot of negative in our world today. And we don't want that. We want this show to be an escape for all of you out there to enjoy my face. No, that's not what it's about. My face is my face. I've been told I look like Sean Penn. And that's all I have to say about that. Anyways, was I going somewhere with this? Yes, I was. The focus point of this show. There is really no focus. As Dwayne Johnson would say, it doesn't matter, because that's essentially what's going on here. We've learned that every show I have catchphrases. They may be borrowed, like I'm the people's champ, even though that was originally Muhammad Ali, and then taken a little bit further by Dwayne Johnson. But in between them two, there was Sylvester Stallone. Hey, yo! That was the way I used to incorporate that into the show. I'm a big, huge Stallone fan. A lot of people out there are. He's 70-something now. He's buff. He's got like sleeve tattoos. I mean, he's not the same that he was in 1976. I'm just saying. And that wasn't Razor Ramon goes, hey, yo. And that was also from Scarface with Al Pacino. That's where the idea for Razor Ramon came from. Now, just in case you didn't notice, I will be throwing you facts. It's because I'm the wrestling encyclopedia, but I've also worked in Hollywood. And unfortunately for you, you get both the perspective. Or fortunately for you, you get a show like this. A show about what? Well, remember Seinfeld? It was a show about, I never watched it. Anyways, I know Bird tells me it's the greatest show ever and I'm an idiot, but that's fine. Well, he didn't say I'm an idiot. He said, don't ever say, are we going again with this? Don't say negative things about yourself. That's the bottom line, because Larry said so. Anyways, see, folks, we're going to just either tune out or tune in. It's up to you. I don't care. My point is this. I want you to enjoy a fan perspective of the world of professional wrestling. I'm educated to a degree. I went to school. I have a college degree. I can tell you, some people who even have money, like lots of money. And by the way, for those going through COVID, please, I hope you're staying healthy and happy out there and you're doing your best to deal with these very interesting times in our world. But I also ask that you have an attitude of gratitude, stay positive, and you'll see that we'll get through this together. I have faith during this Lenten season. As a good Catholic boy, no meat on Fridays. Kept to it. Anyways, the whole point is that I'm trying my best to be better, to improve my life, and taking one day at a time. I heard that somewhere. That's all you can really do at this point. And I've learned. It was a good show, by the way, in the 80s. One day at a time, one day at a time. Oh, whoop on you, dip, 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 near. I don't know. That was just my version of the 80s sitcom. Yep, that's like, remember Mork and Mindy? Nadu, something like that. It was a good show. I liked it. I met Robin Williams once. I asked Robin Williams when I met him, the late great. I said, Mr. Williams, I just wanted to know something. It's an honor and pleasure to meet you. And he says, oh, thank you. And I said, Mr. Williams, I just was curious. Do you know what happens in the finale of episode part 2 of your 2-part series of the Mork and Mindy? Like, what? How did it end? He goes, that was so long ago. I don't remember. That's the stupidest question you could ask Robin Williams. But I was awestruck. I was like, dude, it's Robin Williams. It's like one of my heroes, man, for comedy. I'm like asking what the hell happened, because in KBHK, Channel 44, they would always show you the end of part 1, but they never finished with part 2. They're like, left you like it's a cliffhanger. Well, syndication. They don't care. Like, sorry, should have watched it when it was live. Pissed me off. I don't think I've still seen it till this day. That's all right. I'll find it on a DVD rack somewhere. Could have just done that, dummy. Anyways. Stop calling yourself bad names, Larry. Yes, I'm talking to myself. And you're listening. Speaking of talking to yourself, don't you think you should talk yourself out of doing something bad when you're a millionaire? Well, obviously in the NFL, Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans quarterback, well, now I could say maybe former, because he's got like 12 charges going against him for civil cases. Total number of cases to date, as of today, is 12. Yeah. So I guess he likes massages. And when he brings people over for massages, he doesn't want just a massage. Like Rob Kraft, who obviously we don't hear about that anymore, do we now? So this could technically go away, but 12 is a lot. Rob Kraft just got caught really in one massage parlor. That was a happy ending. It's a G-rated show, folks. You figure it out. Anyways, all I'm saying is this, that misbehaving can get you broke. Ask Ric Flair. Woo! I'm the dead. Woo! Anyways, that's a reference to what the storyline is of Ric Flair possibly impregnated as someone who's 30. Weird. Welcome to wrestling in today's era. Sad. What's sadder is that I'm not hired by the WWE or AEW right now, but that's okay. Well, I'll go to UFC. Fuck it. Excuse me. Boop. I'll go wherever you want me to go. That was a delayed button, so we don't have a button on the show. I could press the button to end the show. That's about it. But I'm not. That way you can continue to enjoy whatever this is. Otherwise, we'll have to part ways. And I know you don't want that right now. It's the last thing you want, right? No. Go ahead. Watch the other podcast. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the whole point is this. Deshaun Watson, man. You got all this success. You can't quite win as a quarterback. You get to the playoffs every year, but you just can't do this to yourself. I mean, you have all this wealth. Do something good with it. Why you let it get to your head? Oh, yeah, I won the Price is Right, and I gave away my money. Anyways, I'm just saying, it can happen to anybody. But try not to do it. That's the most important thing. Deshaun Watson, well, we'll hope the best for you. But if this is the end of your career, Walmart's hiring. It's good. Go ahead. He'd be a good greeter at Walmart. He could talk to any woman he wants then and didn't go to jail doing it there. I don't know. All I'm saying is that you got a lot of money. You're going to be paying a lot of money to all these people to settle these cases because 12 is a lot. It's not many, I think that's how many disciples or apostles Jesus had. 12. I'm Catholic, hey man. I can talk about these things. Who's stopping me? Nobody. So that's why we're going to talk about. We're moving on from Deshaun. I'm done. That's all I have to say about that. I do a very bad Forrest Gump, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Now I've been watching a lot of Netflix and Hulu and streaming media, and I'm going to recommend a show, or should I say, I don't know. It's weird. I'm very mixed on this because I spoke about it on my Facebook Live. But you know what? Punky Brewster's cool. Punky Brewster was one of the coolest characters growing up as a kid. She had everything, fame, Ronald Reagan, all that stuff. You know what I mean? She was on top of the world in the 1980s. A little kid, pigtails, one color shoe, blue on one foot and maybe red on the other. She was a trip. She had punky power. She had a cool golden retriever like dog. She was an orphan that was adopted, something like that, you know, foster kid. Oh, anyways, she's a very cute little kid, and we were enthralled as 80s kids about it. You know what I mean? But the most important thing you realize is that she segued back into NBC because now WWE Network is on the Peacock Network, WWE Network. Now, keep up with me here. WWE now, you can find professional wrestling on NBC. Once again, just like when it was on Saturday Night's Main Event back in the day, and NBC Universal and USA Network have a relationship, and Monday Night Raw is on USA. So, for whatever arrangement now, they bought the rights for the WWE Network, so they're streaming now on the Peacock Network as of today. So if you want to subscribe to WrestleMania, you go to NBC, Peacock Network, and that's how you get WrestleMania this year, WrestleMania 37. So my goal is to educate you on how to keep up with the old school wrestling. And this is the way to do it because all the archive footage now is currently on the Peacock Network. So what we're doing here today is educating you on a documentary called Kid 90. Now, Kid 90 takes you through what Anthony Michael Hall was for the 1980s. And I can say this because I know personally from experience about ways that certain celebrities act and behave. Maybe I worked for them. Maybe I didn't. You don't know. You have to know this, that Kid 90 is a good movie. And this movie was about her life, and she depicted it in videotapes. And I used to do the same thing, call it documenting history, where I was driving in my car stupidly in the rain, going through the grapevine, going, I'm about to make history in Hollywood. Blah, 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 blah. Well, she did the same thing in her own way because she was already established, but she decided to go around with her Hollywood friends with a video camera, kind of showing their lives and what they're doing, getting into. It was like a personal documentation, but this was pre-YouTube and Twitter and ways of it leaking out. But I mean, someone could have stole the tapes and made a movie out of it like she did, but she finally said, this is a part of my life. I don't want to share it. She didn't keep it in the closet. She didn't keep it for herself. She showed us her smoking, you know, cigarettes and acting differently than other kids did. And, you know, there was Christmas involved. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that maybe she was involved with. And she pretty much knows how Hollywood is. It can be a very sad and scary place for those with a lot of money who succeed in it. I didn't even obtain that level of success, but I know that people that do can end up dead. Let's say all these parties I went to, all the drinking I did, I could have been a statistic. Even if I wasn't a famous one, I still let Hollywood take over and destroy my life. And I did. Luckily, I was blessed enough to have a podcast and someone in my ear tell me that it's never too late. So I'm here for you to let you know it's never too late to have your own podcast or to live your life or to do whatever it is you want to do. Because our lives or whatever, we'll save it to the end. And the reason why I save it to the end is because I send you off with it. There's no reason to be ever mad at your past mistakes. Take accountability for your actions. Then you might see results in your life today. And I'm giving you this message because it was instilled in me. And I think as a messenger, that's what this podcast is. We're getting a good vibe out there. Lightning Strike Studios wants you to appreciate our show. We can't do this alone. You need to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. We want to build this brand. We want it to be worthy of generating stability. And I think it will. And I know it will. It just takes time. Life is not a sprint. Okay? It's not a marathon. It's a journey. And go through that journey until your number is called. And today I'm going to do a little tribute to a couple people that inspired me. And I've mentioned before, possibly. But I'm going to do it again. Because I need to. And I tribute working in professional wrestling to my next segue. Watch Kid 90, by the way. It's on the Hulu network. Soleil Moon Frye talks about her life with a breast reduction to everything you can think of and not think of from a kid actress. And some of the people she lost along the way and due to life. This ring of life that we're in. The ring of life. What I'm doing right now, folks, I'm going through a Zen moment. I'm going through a transition. And I want you to share in it. Because I'm not always hyper. I can keep it real. Gary Vee style. You know? Just be blunt with people. Think. Understand. Like Jim Cornette. And give all these fans out here a show about life. I'm not the most intelligent, but I'm not the stupidest. Stupid is as stupid does. It's going to be Tom Hanks going to me someday, shaking my hand, going, Larry, you tried. That's all I want. I never met him. Met his son, but never met Tom. So, Mr. Hanks, if you want to be a guest on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff, please subscribe. Let me know. Did I just ask Tom Hanks to subscribe? Yes, I did. Why not? Whatever. That's my other podcast. All I'm saying is he can subscribe to both, except the YouTube one doesn't have many uploads because we only work on this one together, Bert. So anyways. All I'm saying is this. Is there a point? Yes. It's WrestleMania season. WrestleMania is selling tickets, 45,000. I think there was a delay. Let's get the update on WrestleMania. Why don't we? I mean, you're not going anywhere, right? WrestleMania 37. As of right now, let's see what's going on. Tampa WWE stars to serve as WrestleMania 30. Okay. Who are the Tampa Bay stars? Do we have an update? Titus O'Neil? We haven't heard his name in forever. Seriously? All right. Titus O'Neil's back on the map for whatever reason. I heard they're selling 45,000 tickets. Charlotte Flair removed from WrestleMania 37 promotional graphic. Interesting. Wow. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. That's why you tune into my show, folks, because by the time it's uploaded, it'll be yesterday's news. But anyways, hey, check it out. You're still here first. Drew McIntyre talks WrestleMania 37, Peacock, Mount Rushmore. Okay. Anyways, Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil. Thank God the world's right again. Hulk Hogan, yeah, Titus O'Neil alone. So Hulk Hogan, the immortal Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 37 from Tampa, where Hulk Hogan is from, even though he was booked from Venice Beach, California, brother. Anyways, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan will be hosting the 45,000 approximately ticket sales for WrestleMania this year. And I'm not going, but I will definitely tell you that the NWO is going into the Hall of Fame. The British Bulldog, Molly Holly, just found out she's going in the other day. I don't know. Some people might say, what? The superhero chick? Anyway, she's going in. Batista, he's going in. And yeah, I don't have the list in front of me, but here, let's get the. Oh, yeah, Eric Bischoff. That was breaking news. NWO, Eric Bischoff. That makes sense. Shouldn't they be going in together anyways? I mean, you can't really have the NWO without Eric. But I guess Eric Bischoff's part of the class of 2021 on his own, which is weird. But Hogan, Nash, I mean, X-Pac, because he's going in, and you know, he's part of the NWO. 6. And Hulk Hogan, obviously the founder. So Hogan, Nash, Hall, 6, Batista, all these individuals are going in to the Hall of Fame. And last year, COVID stopped the Hall of Fame. I've been to the Hall of Fame. I even missed the Iron Sheik speech because I was late, but I was there when Hogan was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2005 in Los Angeles. I was there when Piper, Bob Orton, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, all of those individuals were inducted that year. There's nothing like being at a Hall of Fame ceremony because you're there saying thank you to those individuals that paved the way for us to be fans, to be a part of the genre, to work in it, whether on the independent level or not, because I have done both, independent and stand-up, with WWE wrestlers that perform stand-up comedy, which in the near future, we're going to get these shows going, folks, and you're going to be there. I promise you, live to see the famous wrestler who is now retired or could be still current, you never know, performing stand-up comedy. I mean, this is something we need, folks. I still have a love and a passion for stand-up. I'm going to get up on stage. I'm going to perform whenever I can, wherever I'm permitted. Whether you laugh or don't. It doesn't matter. But the fact is, what does matter is Laugh-A-Mania will be running wild sooner than you think. And it's copyrighted, so don't try to steal it. Anyways, the whole point is this. So, we're going to be doing something. If not, if you do, we can sue you. So thank you. Anyways, but we're not, no negative. We're just going to make things happen here, folks. We're going to get it going in 2021. Okay? That's what we're going to do and beyond. We're coming at you, brother. Hogan, Titus O'Neil. I guess old school, new school? I don't know. How do you, I mean, I never understood the host thing anyways. What do? They show up for the beginning of the show, they say what's up, and then they disappear the rest of the night. We'll see what happens. At least we have a live audience, not these CG TV boxes where, like me, I'm on a TV box. But you know what? I'm better in person than live. That's just my opinion. Are you ready for some, folks? Are you ready for a lineup now? Well, I'm going to give you the WrestleMania. I believe Edge and wait a minute, what's today? Let me see something. I got to tell you something. I want to see something right now. Today is, yeah, it's this Sunday. Okay, never mind. I thought it was already passed, but this is going to happen now. We're going to transition out of WrestleMania. Why? Because we have to. We're going to go to WrestleMania 18. Now, this is the main focus today. This is the main event of the evening. Folks, we're going to talk about WrestleMania 18, Icon versus Icon, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Yes, because they're provinces there. Yes, they're not states. Province of Toronto, Ontario, and the country is Canada. The venue, SkyDome, home of WrestleMania 6. Now, there's only a few venues, like Trump Plaza, that have had WrestleMania twice. WrestleMania 4 and WrestleMania 5. Okay? Now, WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 18 also have that honor. WrestleMania 18, which the main event should have been The last match of the evening should have been Hulk Hogan versus possibly Stone Cold Steve Austin. But the reason why that didn't happen, folks, is because Stone Cold did not have a very good place in his head at that time. And I think he didn't really want to work with Hulk Hogan because of the arrogance and the egos. Who was the bigger name in pro wrestling? And since Hogan had been brought back to WWE by Vince McMahon because his AOL Time Warner contract either expired or Vince bought it out, and he said, I'm infecting the WWF at the time, I think it was still. The WWE, was it still then? It might have been, yes. World Wrestling Federation promotion, yes. So he said, I'm going to infect the WWF with a virus. And that virus is kind of like the pandemic, what we got going on. He said, I'm going to inject it with the NWO. And he turns around in a chair that has this, that generic looking thing that he put on there. Not an actual good looking one. He should have put like the brand, the logo the way it was, but he had some generic one on his chair. All I'm saying is that the NWO, I had the shirt, was the phenomenon of the late 90s. But this was the reincarnated version that was brought to WWF in 2002 with Hogan, Nash, and Hall as the three individuals that were brought back in to cause havoc. And you thought, and I was, as a fan, I'm like, are you kidding me? Here we go again. We're going to be going from one plane to another, to arena. Nope. Negative. That thing died just as fast as it started. It was amazing to me. Like, even Kevin Nash says it in a documentary that he thinks, maybe he didn't say it to his face, but he knew that Vince's best interest wasn't the NWO. And I think we all knew that he had bought WCW and he had ended the Monday Night Wars. So what else is there to prove? Just like Sting had that match against Triple H, and I just didn't like the ending. I felt like they could have taken that a whole different direction, and they didn't, rekindle the Monday Night War energy. And this is deeper in. This was like at WrestleMania 31. So we're talking like way after it was over, but a lot of those guys were retired out of the business, and Sting was just back, finally signed with WWE after all that time of holding out. But WrestleMania 18, Hogan, fresh off of a closure of WCW in NWO colors, and that's never been seen. Hogan was always a babyface in WWF. We knew him as even the package that they made shows him as the All-American that was there for every WrestleMania. He main evented every WrestleMania, except for really number 9, when he won the title against Yokozuna by just coming in the ring after Bret Hart had lost it and saying there was an injustice. And then Mr. Fuji says, let's have a match for the title. Why would you put up the title anyways? You could say, I'm going to destroy you, Hogan. Hogan could have demanded the title. But anyways, WrestleMania 18 is a great WrestleMania. I remember I just moved back to the San Francisco Bay Area. I watched it at Chris Cardwell's house. Hey, what up, Chris Cardwell? I gave you a shout out on my show, buddy. You better subscribe. Anyways, did I just do a cheap plug? Yes. I want my friend who claims that he watches to subscribe. I don't believe him. 68,237. That's how many were in attendance on March 17, St. Paddy's Day, which I had an anniversary the other day. Very big commercial in my life. Bird knows about it. March 17, special day in my life. Anyways, back to focus. March 17, 2002. Amazingly, that's funny. I was watching the Bay Area a year after that. Interesting. I had my own personal story with that, but I'll save that for another podcast. We're going to focus on WrestleMania 18, the roster, and the actual matches. Let me tell you, I watched it the other day to refresh my memory because I like to review my shows. And I'll tell you right now that this was a very interesting WrestleMania because Stone Cold, he took on Scott Hall. And the reason why I felt like that was kind of a interesting place for Stone Cold to be in You put Steve Austin in the level of category of Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. He's like on the Mount Rushmore. And I consider him a big part of that. So Scott Hall and him had a good match. But I wish there was more build-up, like towards something. Like, you get through Scott Hall, then you get Kevin Nash, and then you get Hogan. That would have been a great build-up because those guys' names are synonymous with late 90s wrestling. Scott Hall invades WCW in May of 96. Then following that, Kevin Nash and the ball cap comes in and taps Eric Bischoff on the shoulder. And that's where eventually you go to Bash at the Beach and Hogan turning on Savage and the rest of the good guys, the Luger, Savage, and Sting, 6-man against who are these three people? Nash, Hall, and who's the mystery guy? We don't find out till the end when Hogan drops a leg on the Macho Man. And then the wrestling world gets flipped upside down. The highest grossing period with T-shirts, with Austin 316s and the People's Champ, The Rock, and the NWO and the D-Generation X shirts. At Spencer's, anywhere in the mall, anywhere I went, I turned NWO or DX or Steve Austin. And eventually becomes John Cena. But in 2002, this was the ruthless aggression era. And this WrestleMania had pyro. It was Toronto. Even Edge was in a singles match. It had a very different vibe. That 24/7 title was called the Hardcore title. I mean, all kinds of people were winning it that night. Even Maven, who a winner from Tough Enough. I mean, this was a good WrestleMania because it had all kinds of angles. But the one thing that I noticed is the main event was Triple H and Chris Jericho. Now, Triple H, even with Chris Jericho, was Stephanie McMahon. Really? That was the weirdest scenario. He had recovered from a quad injury, and you had Stephanie with Triple H. No, you had Stephanie with Chris Jericho. And how is this possible considering Chris Jericho used to always call her a hoe bag and all kinds of negative names? And you have Chris Jericho being managed by Stephanie McMahon? I mean, this was surreal life to me. I was like, seriously? How the hell does this happen? So, anyways, Jericho met with Stephanie and put their differences in the past, ending with Stephanie accepting Jericho's proposal to be his new business partner. I mean, seriously, like the wife. I mean, did they really think we could believe this angle? I guess. But that was for the undisputed World's Heavyweight title. And interesting enough, Jim Ross, good old JR, even to the very end of this pay-per-view, he gave us the Jim Ross that we know. Good God Almighty, he is your world's heavyweight champion. That type of thing. With a buy rate of 860,000 households, I'm telling you right now that Jim Ross saved this WrestleMania. Why? Because Hogan and The Rock stole the show. Icon versus icon. Okay? You have Dwayne Johnson, who I saw at the Driven premiere. Dwayne Johnson, okay, going against the immortal Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Because to me, this match was the closing match because the energy level, and you even have also Undertaker and Ric Flair, the same WrestleMania. Ric Flair, woo, I'm the dad. And, the Undertaker, okay, in a no disqualification match. Ric Flair had just returned, and he's a general manager now on Raw. He owns the WWF at that time, okay? The storyline was weird. All these Time Warner contracts were over. So Ric Flair went back to WWF. NWO goes to WWF. This is what this WrestleMania was. I mean, even the year before. I mean, you think about it, folks. 17 in Houston. All this is being built. Okay? After even the invasion angle failed. Okay? I don't want to say failed, but it was short-lived as well. WCW, ECW versus WWF. I just didn't like the fact that they were destroying. We're going to talk about WrestleMania 17 coming up, so I'm not going to ruin it. But WrestleMania 18 gives us a very interesting aspect of the NWO and what they did. And you have so many aspects of it resurfacing. And the storyline could have been huge. I mean, you have the biggest names in wrestling. Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. All these people were part of the Monday Night Wars under one roof. Vince missed out on the biggest payday in the history of paydays for professional wrestling. I wrote the script. The way this match ended with Hogan and The Rock, everyone in that Toronto SkyDome wanted Hogan to win this match. The Hulkamaniacs were there. I was in Chris's living room going crazy myself because I'm a Hulkamaniac. And I could not believe the energy level of the crowd. I've never seen a crowd that excited about a Hulk Hogan match ever in my life. You watch WrestleMania 18, Hogan versus Rock, and you watch the electricity for Hulk Hogan, even on a SmackDown episode, they couldn't stop it. Like for 10 minutes, he couldn't get a word on the mic because they just kept bowing down to him. Hogan, Hogan. They were just going nuts for him. In Toronto, he's royalty. No matter what he did to jeopardize his career at one point. We've all made mistakes. We shouldn't be judged for them. We should take accountability, apologize, and move on. Hulk Hogan had the crowd in the palm of his hand. And even I'm sure Hulk Hogan realized, wow, this was what I built. Because the storyline was, I mean, he hits The Rock with an ambulance. Or no, they The Rock was inside of an ambulance. This is how they built this storyline, this feud. Because Hogan was saying braggadocious on a Monday Night Raw, I made wrestling. And then The Rock shows up and challenges Hulk Hogan to main event WrestleMania one-on-one with him. And the crowd was like, what? Because he accepted. And then he gets rock bottomed. So Hulk Hogan, heel Hulk Hogan, okay, is going into this match against babyface Rock. But the crowd did not care. They said, Hulk Hogan is our guy. He is the reason why we're here today at WrestleMania 18, not you, Dwayne. Wow. That said, I mean, Peter Maivia, Dwayne Johnson's dad, the Rocky Johnson soul, the soul man, okay, did not have the impact that Hulk Hogan did. And that crowd gave props to both men at first a little bit. Almost, I was saying it sounded about 70-30 in the very beginnings, okay? By the time this match is over, it's literally like 95 to 5%, if that. Hogan to The Rock. Okay? This crowd wanted Hogan to win. I was waiting for the 1, 2, 3 for Hulk Hogan, but I was younger then, and I can tell you that they wanted that young lion versus old lion storyline. Pass the brass ring to the next generation. Well, I'm sorry. Even though Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, made me stand up in the early 2000s when his music hit, and I used to sit in front of my TV or stand in front of my TV and enjoy the music and put my arm up in the air and make the same pose. But I also did this, and I also talked about 2.4-inch pythons. But I knew I wanted Hulk Hogan to win that match. There's even, I think, a Toronto Raptors ball player. He has to be. He's huge guy on ringside. They never address him by name, so I don't know. He probably is, though. He was leaning on the thing when Hogan lost. Sorry I ruined it, but Hogan loses his match. When the storyline should have been either Hogan wins it, they should have, like, maybe the referee in the ear whispers to Hogan, you're going to go over now. You win the match. Because that's what I would have done and send them home that way. And then that would have been communicated to The Rock and Hulk Hogan at some point in the match via the earpiece of the referee. Yes, I am giving you the inside of wrestling, folks, that it is scripted. But what should have been done didn't happen. Or at the end, instead of the handshake and the hug, which the crowd still wasn't digging, until Hogan starts posing in. So that Toronto Raptors player, you can see the body language. When Hogan loses, he's like this. And then when Hogan's posing, he's like, yeah, yeah. So it's like the kid in us came out. So we wanted Hulk Hogan. But what should have been done, if Kevin Nash and also Hall said they're going to get revenge for Stone Cold's match, they basically ended up doing this. They ended up turning on Hulk Hogan. And the reason why they turned on him, in this case, it does matter, because it does matter that Hulk Hogan basically ended up losing that match to The Rock. And finally, Hulk Hogan should have been the winner of WrestleMania 18, in my opinion. But, brother, I'm going to tell you right now, we all have an ability to focus and not get distracted by little things. And one thing that The Rock should have said to Vince McMahon, make me a bad guy now. Make me the villain, because everyone in that arena hated me. You've done both characters, but no, you did the Scorpion King and you went to Hollywood, and I ended up at a movie premiere for Driven, and I saw you there, The Rock meets The Rock. But you were the main event at this WrestleMania. I tell you right now, you weren't the main event because you weren't the last match. You should have been the last match. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You can't live in the past. I heard that somewhere. And I'll tell you right now, as we wrap it up today, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Because this show will not be anything without you. Unless you keep building and building and building, they will come. Gary Vee, all the greats, they made it happen. We're going to make it happen. You can do it. Anyways, let's wrap it up, folks. I'm ready to get this party started. I'm sorry, it's ending. Never mind. We're going to go now. I know I give long segue goodbyes, but just remember this. Our lives are whatever we make of it. Let's go out there into the world today and do me a great big favor. Stay healthy. Stay happy. And I'm not going to say the other one. You choose. Anyways, our life is whatever we make of it. Just go out there into the world today and simply make it a great one. Thank you all for tuning in. And sorry, I got the giggles. Now, once again, you can give Little Larry a golf clap. Oh, wait a minute. That's my tour bus. Gotta go. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Love you all. Peace. Subscribe. Bye-bye now.